And we're joined now by SOTUS FOCUS analyst Gabrielle Caracciolo. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear a case on whether or not to allow the 2020 census to include this question: is this person a citizen of the United States? Although the court originally ruled to stop the question from going into effect, Talking Points SOTUS analyst Gabrielle is here to break down the debate. Gabrielle, why the controversy surrounding this question?
Right, so those who oppose it say that what is going to actually happen if you add this question to the census is that houses that have anyone who's undocumented in the house, even if it's only one member of a family unit, are not going to answer any questions at all, and that's going to result in a decrease and inaccurate numbers, especially in communities with a high number of immigrants and people of color.
So why would the Trump administration want this? What do they gain from having this question on the census?
Right, so Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross is the one who said, okay, let's put this on, even though he was advised not to. And what he is saying is that in order to properly enforce the Voting Rights Act of who can vote, you need to be a citizen, that they need to know through the census.
Now, last week when you were on the show, we were talking about that abortion case that the court saw, and you were saying how Chief Justice John Roberts likes to stick to precedent. He doesn't like to take up things that are too controversial, but this is certainly a hot topic.
Well, you're right. It definitely is, but in this case, we're working on a tight deadline, and this is an extremely important issue because both sides are saying that what they believe, either adding the question or not adding the question, is what's going to give the most accurate census, and the census is what determines how many electoral college votes each state gets. So the implications of this are tenfold, and so it is important that it's decided on a tight deadline. So I think that's why they're having it go straight to the Supreme Court instead of keeping it in the lower courts.
Now, Gabrielle, this wasn't always a controversial issue. In the past, there has been a citizenship question on the census. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it was about 70 years ago. 1950 was the last time this was done, but it wasn't asked in this manner. What they did was they first asked where everyone in a household was born, and then the second question was that if anybody's answer to that first question was not the United States, are you a naturalized citizen for those people who were not born in the U.S.? So it went about it a little bit different way, but it certainly did not used to be a controversial question to be asking.
The 2020 census forms are going out in just a few months, so I imagine there has to be quite a tight deadline on this. Can you break that down a little bit for us?
Right, so this question, they said almost a year ago was when it was approved and it went through lower courts. Right now it's been blocked. The Supreme Court just said at the end of last week that they will hear the case. There are going to be hearings in the end of April, and then by June is when the census forms are set to be printed. So they're going to need a decision by then. But if the Supreme Court doesn't come to a decision, the lower court ruling will stand and the question will not be printed.
All right, so based on that timeline, what kind of a vote are we seeing? Just very quickly, are we going to see that party line split, or do we expect Roberts to do something crazy like he did in Louisiana?
It's really hard to say how Roberts is going to go, but it's certain that whatever he decides is really what's going to decide whether or not this question is going to go forward.
All right, definitely one we're going to have to take a look at moving forward. Gabrielle, thank you.